like the volley bear when you're trying to like counter an early game composition, not necessarily be the first ones to do so. B1 volley bear is a real sin for me in a lot of those compositions, but yeah, I like what Vitality is doing so far.
Yeah, so Gwen gets taken off again here. I'm fully expecting a Silas ban to come through now. Can't imagine we get to see Diplex on that. If you remember back to Vitality in our former Super Week, the first two games wasn't as good from their side, but the third one was a perfect game against BDSA. Well, almost perfect. They did have one death, and they did lose one Drake. But outside of that fact, it was too good. And now Ari is actually the one being taken away. I can only imagine that Vitality.Bee wants to lock in the Silas here and then just save that last pick for us again on the top side.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what's going to occur here, you'd imagine, unless they want to show something else, like we said previously. But yeah, going to be the Silas being locked in. Pretty standard. I feel like Mirage really playing into the hands of Vitality.Bee here. Not enough research being done on their previous game because Diplex, as we see with that interaction with the ultimate, able to really offer up a lot of resistance, unexpected resistance, I think, into the Corki.
Yeah, I definitely think we should remind our viewers once we get in game as well why Silas is such a good pick into the Corki, one of the few picks that actually deals with it. But now from the responding picks over on the side of Mirage, they go through with a Trundle here, and I think for their last pick, they really need to come through with an engage option. Trundle, of course, will let them brawl a little bit. It does create setup with the pillar, which can be quite annoying from Kallista's side. And yeah, there you have it. On to round up the composition. They're just too lackey in their engage. Usually, Sugenov would love the Gwen into the on. Formerly at European Masters, we quite often see him take, I think it was actually Aatrox into the on matchup, and did fairly well with that too, which would give Vitality to be a kind of win lane game kind of composition. They go through with the Camille. It kind of functions the same way. It's a winning side lane that you want to go for, and it can create a 1-3-1 composition that Vitality can play through, although they don't really have too much wave clear in the likes of a Kalista until she really gets that Runaan's Hurricane. I think Mirage, they're not per se on a timer. They actually have a team composition that is fairly easy to execute. You have a composition where you can play through the bot side in the early game, where you need to get Cody Son ahead, and that lead that the bot lane can get will then bridge Rangjin's lead in the mid lane, because I do think he's going to be under a lot of flag. And this flag, that's what we need to track for the side of Vitality.Bee. While they can be aggressive down towards the bottom side as well, they also have 2v2 set up in the mid lane with Diplex, of course, on the Silas that does have set up in that Abduct and Abscond, and also Volibear coming through with the Q4 stun or just diving a Corki. For Vitality.Bee, you really want to punish that Corki is being picked, because once you get late game, there's pretty much no one who really reaches that backline except Sugenda. So it's going to be curious to see how it's going to be piloted. But I definitely think this is not as won in draft as some of our earlier weeks we had. There's something to play for both teams here.
Yeah, I like the way that Mirage rounded out this composition. I feel like early in the stages, you kind of gave Vitality.Bee what they want, handshaking early game compositions with the Lucian Nami coming down. Obviously, the Volibear coming out in response. We see time and time again, Vitality.Bee are a game where if they can get those kind of conditional clauses off in the early game and transition into that smooth mid game, they really are one of the most dominant teams in the league in terms of transitioning a lead and further bolstering it. But one of the main problems they've run into when they do actually lose is when they don't get those things to work out. And it's if Diplex can't transfer his lead into other sides of the map, Shigenda can't necessarily get that pressure facilitated by jungle early pathing. And I feel like the composition they have will allow for this, but I also think Mirage has some answers to a certain degree in terms of stemming or countering rather that.
But before that game, we are just going to throw it to a quick video and we'll be right in the game. Thank you, everyone.
Peace. Yeah, it was my fault, what?
Yeah, you didn't do anything, Kay. It's not you.
Oh. Hello and welcome to our game one of the day. Post Super Week, now into a normal week, but need that not worry you as we have Vitality.Bee versus Mirage today. Gulborg, both of these teams, kind of in different circumstances, I think it's fair to say.
I think that is extremely fair to say. Vitality.Bee is in a position where they're currently fighting for, a top spot towards playoffs. Give them that good seeding. We have that lower bracket run, of course, in the LFL. So the further you can go in, regular season, the more of an advantage you have. Well, logically speaking, towards playoffs, we've seen so many teams make the run through the lower bracket. Either way, and that's how it should function. On the side of Mirage, though, they really need to avoid relegation. If you've been following LFL, you know they're in kind of the relegation rates with the likes of
speaking of seeding, they've been sowing the seeds of their own destruction, so to speak.
I think that's very fair to say. I think the desk mentioned it a little bit. You know, it's a team where individually they have really good individuals, but as a team, they haven't really found out how to play together. And that has for sure cost them so many games where they've been ahead. I mean, just remember back to last Super Week. They dropped the game they should have never dropped the ball on.
Yeah, and I specifically can remember that being an absolute nightmare for them. And I feel like against Vitality.Bee, a team, if you give them a finger, they'll chew off your entire elbow. You can't really make these sort of mistakes. Can't really, just have that hesitation. So I really just want to see a Mirage that are just, come back from the Super Week realizing that things could have gone slightly better. But, there is good stock to take away from it and just really start to consolidate because you're running out of time heading into the second half of this split. I was going to see an engage here from Cody Sun. Exhaust does come down in response. Nice little trade back there, but summoner advantage does go the way of Vitality.Bee just to start.
And that's exactly why they picked the Nautilus. In conjunction of Wave Prow, you will be better at doing that from the side of Mirage just due to the fact that you have 2 double range and Jacktroll, he can't really step up. That's also why you see him go for the minion to TM Realizer and Runes, because if he ever needs to secure that cannon, then he can do it from afar, where he doesn't need to go up and take free damage. But now he at least has that exhaust advantage. Jacktroll, unfortunately, has been taking too much poke. He's used up all of his pots currently, so it's going to take some time before they can go for that all-in and really find the window where you want to punish the fact that you currently have exhaust down from the likes of Cody.
I think interesting as well to bring up, look more towards the jungle here. Volibear obviously skipping those camps, going through a 3-camp clear. Now hovering towards that bot side. He's going to be here slightly earlier, you'd imagine, in comparison to the enemy jungler. Memento's obviously opted in for pretty much a full clear, excluding the fact that he's not gone for his Raptors. So there could be a little bit of a chance for some tomfoolery in the bot side.
Jacktroll has been taking some poke here. And I actually like how they do this. Hold on for a minute.
It's an engage onto Cody Sun. The exhaust is not available. He's at the flash. He's going to be into the E here. Skeens has found that early kill. That's a first blood for Kalista. Memento's off to the side here, trying to get involved here, but you can imagine this is going to not go quite too well. One more auto will do it. They do manage to find the return kill onto Skeens. Ren is going to take out, in response, Memento here. They're going to crash a massive wave here. This is a massive victory for Vitality.Bee in the opening minutes.
100%. This is a lot of CS that's going to go away here. Luckily, respawn timers are still fairly low, so Cody won't be... Probably just missed 3 minions here, but that still matters. 2 kills and experience going over to Jeskless. He's currently a level up. Yeah, those are the 3 minions he just missed there. We'll be able to pick the rest of it up. But huge reset time advantage for Vitality.Bee as well. From the side of Skeens, can just go back into the bot side jungle, where he will have the Scuttle pick up. He can go for the blue buff and Wolves afterwards. Brilliant start, and I love how it started out with Jacktroll being the one going up river to clear out the wards. Usually what we see is that the jungler will clear out the wards with their own sweeper. They'll be spotted, and because of that, the opponent's bot side will just know that they need to play a bit more hesitant. While you still can have that idea with Jacktroll clearing it, it's not the first thing they'll think of, and therefore it was a bit of a surprise when Skeens was already there, skipping the likes of blue buff and Wolves.
Yeah, and I think one of the main problems is we track back to the jungle here. Now Skeens has opted into a pathing here whereby he can just reverse clear his camps, go up towards that top side. His camps aren't necessarily, and he's opted in, he has more decision trees available to him. See, very aggressive trade coming out from Cody Sun. One more auto will do it. This is really what you needed in terms of aggression. Jacktroll, if he gets caught out here by Ranger in a rotation, could spell disaster. Going to be helped over the wall by Skeens here. Diplex has done a good job of keeping Rangjun in lane to stop himself from being caught. Really great there from Cody Sun to find that window there where Jessica was just trying to get that wave in, consolidate the matchup, acquiesce and bring himself back into it.
Yeah, but quite frankly as well, Jacktroll's positioning there, just not ideal. You put Jessica in a position where he's allowed to be gone on from the likes of Cody, and Cody only needs to be buffed up by the Nami. Nami doesn't actually have to be there physically walking up herself. So definitely a missed position from Jacktroll, who also misses the flash afterwards over the wall.
Miss that flash. You can see Jessica going aggressive.
He's dead.
One more it will do it. He gets the Ren, and it's just a back and forth affair in the bot lane early. So Jessica's taking a lot of damage from those minions, but seems like one person goes down. 3 deaths in total in the opening 5 minutes of the game coming out from both sides of the bot lane.
This is very reminiscent of solo queue and not so much a competitive game with the amount of action we have down towards the bottom side. Usually with Vitality.Bee, it's all about the solo laners, but today, Jeskla is really just stepping up in the Kalista, answering the early aggression you get from the Lucian Nami lane.
Definitely answering that early aggression. 3-1 now, and you speak about how important it was for Vitality.Bee, obviously, to find these early game clauses, and they've very much done that so far. They've pretty much hit the Santa Claus of clauses in the bot lane. A bountiful presence being granted to them and their team. See Jester now 3-1, just bounding towards that mythic item.
And I feel like we haven't gotten the time, really to talk about the other lanes. There's been so much bottom lane action. But let's try and talk about why we've seen Sylas be a good pick into Corki so far. If you haven't followed up with what we had last week, Diplix was an absolute monster in the same matchup here. One of the easy ways to punish Corki is that you have lanes set up for your jungler to come in and gank. You currently have that with the Abducted Scun that CCs Corki and the follow-up from Volibear as well. But the real broken thing is the fact that Diplix can take the Corki ultimate and he won't just have one rocket, but he'll get all 7 rockets, and he'll buy AP earlier than the Corki will, because Corki usually have to go for the mana immune route, which is AD of course, which means that the AP scalings that Diplix gives on his ultimate actually allows him to have greater poke than the Corki in the early game, and can really snowball before the Corki get to those 2 to 3 items, where we usually see him have his peak.
That peak being so important for Corki in terms of some of the damage they can do. I feel like now, with that bot lane being set so far behind, you can't really expect a lot of the damage to be coming out from them, I think it would be fair to say. So you see a little gank coming out here. Cody's son doesn't have that flash just quite, but Memento is waiting in tow. So slowed down a little bit. Be the aggressor here, but they have spotted out Memento now. Now the counter engage does come out a little bit, but to be a nice little hook onto Memento here. He's going to get taken out. One more will do it, and that's a rend, and you almost felt like this was entirely telegraphed. They're going to be trying to go onto Cody's-san here. Jesklo very aggressive under the turret. That's going to be a double kill. Rack so soon to fall. Skeen just ping 6 as well. And it's a wonderfully executed play from Vitality.Bee, but Mirage had all the information on that. That was not a Mirage. That was not an illusion going towards them. That was a train full force, 100 miles an hour into the face of Mirage, and that's a further 3 kills.
Yeah, just beautiful from Vitality.Bee. They've really displayed that you can still dive in a durability patch. Of course, Volibear also facilitates that with the ultimate. But once again, they get the crash in on the bottom side. Let's have a look at the replay, because they're quite patient. I like the fact that they don't just pull the trigger immediately. Momentum tries to play spoiler, trying to predict the hook coming out from Jack Troll. But once again, the patience allows them to just sidestep the pillar real quick, come in with the Nautilus hook, and then just balance the tower shot here. Jeskla starts up tanking, just kites out of tower range. Skeen comes around afterwards with the ultimate turned off, and Skeen can just move up to pick up the first Drake as well. Vitality.Bee, they pick up the kills, they crash the minion wave, and they get the neutral objective. Just perfect down from the bottom lane.
I think a point that's going to be very interesting to me is how do they now utilize Jeskla? I feel like with Rift Herald coming up with these next fights, is it the case, Coolbook? Do they want to try and just coordinate as many fights as possible? That might just be the case here. They go in, Ultimate Fate's called out.
Wow!
One more will do it. That's going to be a Ren. That's going to be another kill. And Jeskla now accelerated to the point where they're just 2v2ing in your face right now. They just take out Mirage's bot lane.
I was about to say that Vitality.Bee don't need to do anything as a team with this lead. You can just keep going in the 2v2. All the team really needs to do is keep the jungle tracking up a momentum. When Vitality.Bee has the information that they can go for the 2v2, they just should. And in that instance, the Cody, Son, and Raxel bot lane never got to fight. They were CC'd throughout all of it, while Jeskla just cleaned them up. 7-1 under the Kalista. Statement performance from the AD carry of Vitality.
Absolutely, and I feel like at the point in which he's at now, they obviously need to offer some protection. I think you're speaking about that jungle tracking being so important, but I feel like the focus can almost be shifted from Skeens, from Diplex, from Jack Troll as well, away from Jeskla now to facilitate other lanes, to allow Diplex to get to that point where he's so comfortable against this Corki. With the Rift Herald being taken now, they can now allow that to get a little bit more gold in other lanes as well. You can see a massive CS lead being generated for Shigenda now.
But it's also just going to be a problem once they start rotating the bot lane around. If they can clear up the first spot turret here, move the bot lane out either towards the mid lane or towards the top side of the turret, no one's going to be able to match the aggression that Jeskla can pull out in lane now. And that's a big problem for Mirage here. They still have the scaling aspect in their Corki, but that scaling is also being matched in the Sylas, who's also able to take away the Corki rockets. So I will say Mirage, despite having, scaling in their game, they're on a little bit of a timer to kind of, dampen the aggression coming out from Jeskla, at least try and mitigate it a little bit.
I just feel like scaling is all very well, but when the curve is tipped in this way, you kind of exponentially, you're seeing just a massive growth in terms of
Oh
economy
yeah.
that Jeskler has been able to build for himself, that you're never really going to be able to catch up to that until this game goes truly to the point where 6 items equals 6 items. And Jeskler is just now so much further ahead. I imagine if we look at the gold, I can imagine him being 2,000 gold ahead or so. We do see an engage coming out from Memento here, but Skeens is in tow, waiting to get involved here if he has to. Just continually putting out pressure through the bot side.
Yeah, and there might be some viewers now thinking that, well, why don't you just use the Herald bot lane immediately and just pick up the turret for free? Well, in a simulation that we're currently watching where Jeskler is just shoving waves again and again and again and again, they should be able to pick up the bot lane turret without the use of Herald. Then have the Herald for the top side or the mid lane if they're rotating the map around. I think they can be way more sufficient with this Herald than just dropping it bot lane. And they still have so much time to play around with. It's not even at the halfway mark just yet. And that extra, patience you're allowed to have in Vitality really just creates a fear in the mind of Mirage as well, because they need to be ready for a dropped Herald all the time with Memento being at the right place.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things like you're saying, Goldborg. I think the important thing to bring note to is the threat is more than the actual effect. Like the fact of them having this Herald is going to put more pressure here. Skeens is continually able, like we see, flashes onto Cody-san here, gets exhausted. Raxo is going to be here for a heal, but Jack Troll as well with that ultimate come out any second now. Culling does come out in response, but we're seeing here with the Summoners burned, obviously Skeens burns his flash here, but it's just more and more waves being starved away from Cody-san. Never really able to get off at the races here.
Yeah, that's why they're not even hitting the turret yet. They want him to lose as much CS as possible. You can already see the deficit between the two AD carries. Cody, 79 CS, Jeskler, 112. They're in no rush at the side of Vitality. They're taking their time, and I like it. Although if there's one thing I didn't really like, I think Skeens was a bit over-aggressive there. Using the flash and volleyball ultimate, they probably had more effective usage than that one.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there in terms of the over-aggression. I do think it's a little bit too much, but I mean, one of those things is, one of the benefits is you've got to imagine the mental factors that are impeding Cody-san at this point. That's a tilt flash right there. That really just makes you want to disconnect your keyboard. You do see they do take the first turret here, makes sense, get that final plate before the 14-minute mark, allows you to get that reset in advance of this next drag and be out on the map. You see him almost building that second item now, only a few hundred gold away or so from that. I think one of the main important things about keeping that turret up for so long is now we're at a point, we're into the mid-game where we can start to rotate the Kalista around the map more effectively. And now we see it a minute before that Herald coming out in the mid lane.
Yeah, I think it was an interesting thing here. So again, the TP'd up towards the top side to catch a wave. You could have put the bot lane up there instead, but crucially, the Drake is spawning. And they want to have all their numbers advantages down here, which of course means that if Jeskler is on that side of the map, Mirage, they probably don't win the exchange. So to keep the neutral objective stacking here, second Herald should be up in about 2 to 3 minutes as well. So you can just put your bot lane down towards the bot lane, shove in the wave, move them up towards the mid lane, and then just have priority. You can always move around wherever you would like.
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly how the way I want to see the AEC Diplex in accordance with what you're saying here, Goldborg, priming that back here. I believe it is going to be the case that rotation does come out. And in terms of like what Mirage want to do, they're dedicating so many resources towards his top side, and now to try and get any of these extra plates, which they won't be able to because the time is out in about 5 seconds or so, they're just not able to get anything in response, really.
I mean, they get to zones again their way, but now with this information, there's nothing stopping the Vitality bot lanes from just continuing on the tier 2. They know there's going to be no response, and if Jeskler can pick this turret up for himself, that's going to be 600 gold going over to the Vitality.Bee AD carry. Don't think he'll be able to take it on this wave with Bad Lulu coming down as well, but it is certainly primed for anyone to come down and execute it after, 2-stack wave or 1-stack wave even.
Absolutely. You can see Cody-san and Raxo just rattling away at this turret, trying to get it down here, but with the rotation coming in from Skeens and Shigenda, that is going to be put to a stop. I don't expect a fight to occur here, but maybe it does. It's a very long E here. Shigenda can use that R to dodge out the bubble from Nami. Going to get knocked out here, but one more Q will do it. Skeens as well onto Raxo. Ultimate forward. Raxo no flash, and that's a further 2 kills for Vitality.Bee. Just when you think they don't have to go aggressive, they say, balls to the wall, hell's bells, we are taking you with us.
Listen, Shigenda saw he was 4 levels ahead of Cody-san and just went for it. Jack Troll single-handedly trying and invading on the blue buff, not going to be able to get it, but in the mid lane, Diplex is putting in. In top side, Shigenda is taking care of the turret. In the bot side, Jeskler just got 600 gold secured for himself, as we just talked about. It is burning all across the map for Mirage, and there's nothing they can do to slow the fire down.
This is one of those things, this is like that, you know the Donald Glover Childish Gambino gif of when he comes back to the room with pizza and the whole house is on fire?
Oh, yes. Oh,
I feel like it's very much that kind of game. This is one of those ones where like Mirage just has there's too many fires in too many different places. you've got to dedicate so much energy to even put one fire out, and meanwhile, your top side's burning. Yeah, I don't think it can be more expressed. They are very hard pressed to do much in this game. They are getting absolutely demolished.
And I think Vitality, they've stepped up quite well. Flash from Jack Troll.
It's a good bubble and response from onto Diplex here, but that's going to be Raxa with no flash from the previous exchange getting taken out there from a very aggressive flash from Jack Troll. And I feel like Vitality.Bee just really feeling themselves. They're taking every play. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, normally this would be a 50-50, but it's more exacerbated in their favor.
Why slow it down? That's the forward process, right? Now you get your mid lane in, or your bot lane in towards the mid lane. You can rotate him up towards the Herald, pick up that objective. You can look to open the mid lane immediately if that's what you're looking for. They probably don't need to. They can probably save it for top side as well to pick up easy 600 gold there. And now another cross map comes through for Mirage. See if Zugenda had smelled it out this time around again.
It takes quite a bit of poke here, but can have that E available in a few seconds. Uses the W to get away from Memento. But yeah, this could actually be rather dangerous for him here. Ornhorn is going to be coming out. He can't quite dodge that. Bad Lulu gets it off to the side there. This is potentially the first cross map. Oh. That was not what you'd expect to have happen there.
I mean, definitely not ideal. Jack Troll just down here to stop the backs, and that's perfectly fine. He might give his life here, but they're getting two turrets in the mid lane.
Here as well. I mean, if we just pan to the mid lane right now while this is unfolding, like we can see, like a Rift Herald is being primed in the mid lane. His job here is just to stop them for as long as possible. Like, this is just ridiculous. Teleport's coming out in response. Skeens flushes forward. He doesn't quite manage to get Cody's son, but here comes Diplex with that Ornhorn. He's going to take out Cody's son there. He's going to take Bad Lulu as well. Look at this flank from Kalista. Here comes Jessler, the flanking AD carry. Here he comes off to the side here. Onto Rangjin, onto Raxo. And Vitality.Bee breach everything. What the hell is going on, Coolball?
It's one of those rare moments where the flanking AD carry actually works. When you're this far ahead, 17 minutes into the game, you push down the mid lane inhibitor. This is an absolute stump once again for Vitality.Bee, and it just seems like against the lower end spectrum of the schedule and of the rosters in the LFL, Vitality.Bee just can't be stopped. It's the 2 times in a row now where they look so dominant.
Yeah, I just say, I've never seen an AD carry flank like that in a competitive match. So
I've seen it, and they usually die. That's why I thought, Venser in the NLC was quite reminiscent of this, but here in the LFL, I mean, Jeskla, he's feeling himself. He said it earlier. I think this is just another statement to it. He's 3 items 18 minutes into the game. It's illegal for this to ever happen in a competitive match. I can't believe he's this far ahead. It's so well played by Vitality's bot lane.
It's not even like he's really going like a low econ build as well. I feel like this is quite like a, this is a real damage-based build. So really, for him to be this far ahead is quite exorbitant and stupendous almost.
I agree. Now, there is at least objective bounties that Mirage can try and pick up now. It's not going to give them much. They're still 11k behind. And even now, it is getting answered. 3 versus 4 on the top side. 3 versus 5 potentially. Let's see if Vitality.Bee takes it.
Ooh, Jack Shaw might have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew here, but Fate's Call is going to save him for now. Ornhorn does go on to Jessica, though. Just going to have that Immortal Shield Bow pop here. Nami ult coming out here. Jack Troll's going to be the sacrificial lamb for now, but do Vitality.Bee fancy a little bit more here? Potentially not. Skeens is here off to the side, and that's just going to be a rare, not a rare, but going to be a anomaly pick in terms of this game. Jack Troll does go down. I'm
not going to lie, I fully expected them to try and take that fight with how far ahead they were. But it looks like they're very resilient, and they are paying respect until now.
Until now, chew your words there, Goldborg. And Skeens is in here, taking quite a lot of damage, having to ult out. Jessica doesn't have that Immortal Shield Bow from previously. This could be massively bad for him. 1k does go the way of Memento. Not quite who you would have wanted that gold on. That's one of those things where I don't even know if you're like massively that upset if you die there from Jessica. You kind of, you get rid of your massive bounty, and you gave it to probably the best person you could have given it to.
I think it's great for Mirage as well that they are trying to stay synchronized. They're trying to stay as a team. That's pretty much the only thing they can do here. But let's be real. This is Vitality.Bee doing a little bit of trollolol in these fights, getting a little too over-aggressive. But still, even with those 1k shutdowns going over to Mirage, they're still so far ahead. They're in the 40 marks, while Mirage is, still at the 33, 9k ahead for Vitality.Bee.
9k at 20 minutes. I'd like to see them, like you're saying, I think there's a bit of a, over-arrogance being shown by Vitality.Bee a little bit. Playing with their food a little bit. I think with a team like Mirage, I feel like they've tested the waters. Like, are these guys giving up? Are they still, like, putting their all in? And Mirage very much just trying to get every little advantage they can do. Still got this fighting spirit this game, but want to see Vitality.Bee try and brute force their way, get that vision control around that Baron, and look to close out this game.
And I think that's only what we're waiting for, 3 minutes for that Soul Baron in a position where they can start it up, try and turn as well. Once again, there is a decent teamfight composition from Mirage if they land the correct picks, and that's why I think it's very important that they always at least have their own jungle quadrant warded up a little bit so they get safer and route towards that Baron if they wanted to contest it. You can see Jack Troll now on a mission to try and get rid of a lot of this vision, but as soon as it's gotten rid of, they're just starting it up. There's nothing that should stop them from this.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see Corki going back to base here. To be really in a position, does have that teleport, obviously. Keep an eye on that. Diplex does have his hands on this Ornn Horn. We'll see the teleport coming off to the side from Shigenda. Diplex in here, going to be priming the ult any second now. Teleport's coming out from Corki, has that package in tow now. They can use it. Ornn ult comes out in response. Nami ult as well. Diplex is in. They do manage to take out Lulu immediately here. Diplex into stasis. Over the wall is Jack Troll. Ultimate coming over the wall from Skeens here. Skeens furthering in. Here comes Shigenda on to Cody's son. He's not going to be able to get over the wall yet. Just about. Yes, he is. More W will do it. Can the healing stop him? That's Skeens with a triple kill. It's going to be Raxo as well. Gets slowed up by the W. Bubble does not land. He is going to slow him up. Tries to find the return kill onto Skeens. Almost actually manages to do it. Vitality.Bee actually don't quite manage to get the Baron here because quite a few of their members have gone quite low, but should be the case that they managed to get this inhibitor.
Yeah, but now with the 20-minute mark, they can finally take care of the inhibitor. They didn't want to do it before because there's no Baron up the map, so the pressure point you get from super minions wouldn't matter too much, and you were only going to give extra gold over to your opponent. Now that we finally reached that Baron spawn point, now you can apply that extra pressure on the map, and they could just go for the resets now. They can have anyone in the side lane if they pleases. I don't think that's the case. They don't have teleport on Shigenda or Diplex. They can just, they may well just 5-man Baron as soon as they're off the reset timers.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you there, Coolborg. I feel like foot off the pedal a little bit, but obviously with these impending objectives coming up, the neutrals being available of the Baron and that Soul point Soul is coming up as well. Now is the time to really, put the car into fifth gear, so to speak.
I feel like this game has been in the fifth gear for quite a while now.
Yeah,
for Vitality.Bee. I feel like we're developing new gears at this point, Jake.
It's been a Gears of War, this game, pretty much.
Oh, yeah, there's not been much war. It's more like a slaughter from the side of Vitality.
Slaughterhouse 5 is Vitality.Bee versus Mirage in the LFL here. I just felt like they just propelled their lead so far, and look at how far Shigenda is willing to go here to find the engage. Goes into stasis almost immediately afterwards. Diplex is found. Raxo here. Cody's son trying to do as much damage as he can off to the side there with the culling. Just so much stopping power. Fate's Call gets called out. Going to try and be put onto Rangjun here. Quite find him. Hook from Jack Troll onto Rangjun. Can he quite find it? Flash away is going to be the case for Rangjun there. And this should be just the end of the game here with 2 people, 3 people even falling down. Vitality.Bee calling on the base of Mirage. Just propelling the game forward in such an exorbitant, sort of insurmountable way. Mirage never really had an answer.
I think they had a conversation for it, but individually they were just outclassed this time around, and finally the Nexus will fall from the side of Mirage. Vitality.Bee, they take their win in, once again, dominant fashion, gearing off after a sub-optimal Super Week, if we can say that for Vitality, but they ended it with a stomp. They're taking the next game with a stomp, and they're looking crisp on their race in the second half of the split towards playoffs.
Yeah, completely agree with you. They return back